Have you ever noticed how some people don't say much, but when they do, it actually matters? They're not the loudest in the room. They don't rush to fill silence. And they're often overlooked because of that. But what most people don't realize is they're not quiet because they have nothing to say. They're quiet because they're processing more than you think. Introverts are often misunderstood as shy, reserved, or even socially distant. But that's not really what's happening. Psychologically, introversion isn't about disliking people. It's about how your brain processes stimulation and social interaction. While others are reacting in the moment, introverts tend to observe first. They notice tone, patterns, small shifts in behavior. They listen more than they speak. And while conversations are happening on the surface, their mind is working underneath it. Research in psychology suggests that introverts tend to process information more deeply before responding rather than reacting immediately. They're connecting ideas, reading between the lines, understanding not just what is being said, but why. And that's where their hidden advantage begins. Because when you spend more time observing than reacting, you start to see things others miss. You notice inconsistencies. You pick up on emotions that aren't directly expressed. You understand situations before they fully unfold. It's a different way of processing the world. Not faster, but deeper. And in a world that often rewards speed, that kind of depth can easily go unnoticed. But it shows up in subtle ways. In how they respond, not instantly, but thoughtfully. In how they remember details others forget. In how they can hold space in conversations instead of trying to control them. And over time, this creates something powerful, clarity. Because when you don't constantly react, you have more space to think. And when you have more space to think, your responses become more intentional. But there's another side to this that people don't always talk about. Because this same depth can also turn inward. Introverts don't just observe the outside world, they analyze themselves too. They replay conversations, they rethink decisions, they question how they were perceived. And sometimes that awareness can turn into overthinking. This is often linked to higher levels of self-reflection, a trait that allows deeper understanding, but can also increase internal pressure. The same ability that helps them understand others can make them harder on themselves. That's why this hidden superpower doesn't always feel like one. Sometimes it feels like hesitation, like staying quiet when you had something to say, like thinking too much instead of acting. But the power isn't in being quiet. It's in knowing when to use that depth and when to step out of it. Because observation without action can keep you stuck. But observation with intention? That's where things change. That's where insight turns into clarity. And clarity turns into confidence. In psychology, this kind of depth is often associated with insight, the ability to see beyond the surface. Introverts don't need to become louder to be understood. They just need to recognize that the way they process the world is already a strength. Not because it's obvious, but because it isn't. And once you start using it instead of questioning it, it stops feeling like something that holds you back and starts becoming something that quietly sets you apart. If you find this familiar, press like and subscribe. That really helped me growing this channel.